Hey, and welcome to the first ever live of June 2024. Also, the first live in the challenge. For those of you who don't know, who maybe missed it, I'll be going live 3 days a week over the next 3 days, or sorry, next 3 weeks over the course of the challenge, and then once or twice a week every week thereafter. But over the course of the challenge, I'm breaking up the 3 weeks into specific topics. This week, I'm talking all about mindset, and it's a huge one, because the battle is won and lost between your ears. Everyone knows they need to be in a calorie deficit. They've heard it a million times. Everyone knows they should eat less, move more, but they don't always know what that looks like. Everyone knows they should eat more meat, fruits, vegetables. They should be more active. They should hit the gym, stuff like that. But we know what to do. We're just really not very good at doing it, right? A lot of people, whenever I ask, they go, "Oh, like Chris, I know what to do. I just need help doing it." So you have the information. You already know what you should be doing. It's this up here that's holding you back. So that's week one, is all about the inner game, the mental game of weight loss and fat loss, or just health and fitness in general. Week two, we're talking all about exercise. We talk breaking down strength training, exactly how to construct your own workouts to maximize results, maximize fat loss, and maximize results. A new study came out literally yesterday, just proving what a lot of us coaches already knew, and that's that strength training is the number one way to lose body fat, even better than cardio, substantially better than cardio. Just strength training will help you lose more fat than strength training and cardio combined. So now you see, and then their new scientific research proves this, shows this. It is now proven for people to see, which is awesome. So I'm so happy that science is finally catching up with what personal trainers and coaches already knew intuitively. And then week three, we're going into nutrition. We're talking about the fundamentals of nutrition, macronutrients, micronutrients, calories, all that sort of thing. And then the third video of that week, we'll be talking about exactly how to maximize your plan moving forward, how to create a sustainable weight loss plan for yourself, the different ways of weight loss, the different methods of dieting, the different ways to actually go about it so that you can plan for this. Because for those in the challenge, if you watched last night's replay of the kickoff call, if you watched that replay, you know I really kind of went deep into most people fall off after the challenge, like 9 times out of 10. Like most people who signed up for this challenge have signed up for previous challenges before, my own previous challenges, which isn't what I want. I don't want to be seeing the same people again and again and again signing up for another challenge that because the last one didn't work, they didn't sustain the change. And at the end of every challenge, I ask them, "Hey, like, what are you going to do from now on? Like, what's the plan moving forward?" And they go, "Oh, I'm just going to keep doing what you taught in the challenge." And then 3 weeks later, they fell off. That's not what I want. And so I don't want you to fall off. I don't want you to come back. I want you to get the changes that you want and actually live life in that freeing way that you desire. And so the last week of the challenge is talking about nutrition and how to actually maximize that sort of thing going into the future beyond the challenge, so that hopefully this is the last challenge you ever need. So, getting into it, today we're talking about the number one thing you must do before you can even start this challenge. Well, before you can even start this journey, if you want to actually make long term success. Like, this has to be in place because, like I said, the battle is won and lost between your ears. Because you see, every single human has two selves. There's your one is your lower self. That is the voice inside your head that wants you to hit the snooze button, that wants you to binge eat, that wants you to skip your workouts, that doesn't want you to go to bed on time, that you don't want to weigh and measure and track, and you don't want to keep track of your food, that you like, right? All these, it's the little voice that tells you to not do the thing that you know needs to be done. And the other version is your highest self. And this is the voice inside your head that sets the alarm for 6 a.m. and jumps out of bed in the morning, drinks that green smoothie, and makes the choices that are in alignment with your goals. And for the next 21 days, hopefully and beyond, we need to aim to be our highest self. If we want to actually succeed in this challenge in general, but also just to succeed long term, we need to learn how to tap into that highest self, that higher voice. So, here are things to watch out for, right? Because your lower self is going to seek safety. It's always going to be seeking comfort. Your lower self feels insecure, right? This means I'm a failure or I'm not enough, right? Or life is so hard and unfair and always against me. So there's just nothing I can do. Or blaming others or external circumstances for their results or their lot in life. The I have no choice because I'm just built this way, or I'm not the kind of person who does this, right? They always seem to find a reason to not do the thing they know they should be doing. They always look and find excuses. And the lower self just has this innate refusal to analyze your own behaviors, your own beliefs in order to improve your life. I call this personally, I call this my inner bitch voice. It's the thing that tells me, because if you know my story, I had a really, really bad relationship with intermittent fasting, basically starved myself 80 pounds down, and I hated my life. I had no sex drive. Like I felt awful. The insecurity never went away, right? And so and now that and then afterwards it all came crumbling down, and I gained 20 pounds a month for 3 months straight. I gained 60 pounds in 3 months. And now, like, now that I'm doing it the more sustainable way, the proper way, I'm doing it the better, more healthy approach. I still hear that little voice in my head being like, hey, you want to know what's going to get you ripped, shredded, look incredible, look better naked, look better on the beach? Just don't eat. It worked before. So just don't eat. Right. And we know that's not healthy. We know that's not a good way of going about things. So I call this my inner bitch voice. It's that little voice in my head that keeps telling me, whispering in my ear, going like, hey, that scale hasn't gone down as much as it did last time. You want to know what fix that? Don't eat. Starve yourself. That's how it works. Right. Now, when we're talking about our highest self, what does our highest self voice sound like? This is the one that seeks growth. It's more disciplined. It takes fearless action. It takes imperfect action. The highest self recognizes that progress matters more than perfection. What else, like, and then understand, like, what else could this mean, right? What is life trying to teach me right now? What is the lesson of this? I made a mistake, yes, and that's normal, but what can I learn from the situation so I don't repeat the mistake, right? Looking back at this moment, what's the story that I want to tell? What beliefs do I need to take in order to overcome this obstacle? Because my current beliefs, my current thoughts, they're clearly not serving me. They're holding me back. So what new beliefs would actually serve me? For example, carbs make me fat. No, they don't. And your avoidance of carbs is why you keep blowing up and going and chasing the carbs, and you binge eat the carbs. Then you beat yourself up. It's like, no, carbs are fine. There's nothing wrong with carbohydrates at all whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. They're just food. And so what beliefs would serve me? Okay, well, instead of avoiding carbs because I think they're bad, how about I adopt the belief that there is no good foods or bad foods? And I recognize that carbs can help fuel energy. Carbohydrates is your body and brain's primary source of fuel. So I can kick ass at the gym, do an amazing workout. I'll sleep better, I'll feel better, and I'll get to enjoy the foods like a regular, normal human being without being so strict and stingent to the point where I just explode out and blow it all out the window. Which belief do you think would suit me better? Which belief do you think would suit yourself better? The avoidance of carbs because you think our carbs are bad for you, or the other, where carbs can fuel you, can energize you, can make you sleep better, where you feel better? I know that the belief that carbs are good is going to suit me a lot better than believing they're bad, especially when that belief that they're bad is wrong. Like, they're not bad. And then asking the question, who do I need to become in order to make the most of the situation? Your higher self is going to reflect on both wins and mistakes and lessons. And you're going to focus on the actions, not the goal itself, because when you focus on just the goal, you're never going to accomplish the goal. But if you focus on the actions, which are fully in your control, suddenly the results, the outcome you're after suddenly becomes in your hand. You can see it, you can feel it, because you're doing the things, not wishing for the result, but actually doing the thing that creates the result. And now that you're aware of the differences between your lower self and highest self, you have to strive to be your highest self. You have to remind yourself of who it is that you're trying to be. You have to put in the intentional effort to remind yourself that you're the highest version of yourself, acts and behaves and believes these things. So we have to remind ourselves, hey, this is who I want to become. This is where we're going. This is like, you're in this challenge to grow. not just get results, but grow as a human being, grow as a person, become somebody deserving of living the way that you want. Because the version of you clearly isn't living in alignment with those values. The way you're living, your current beliefs are not in alignment with the version of yourself that has achieved the goals that you want, has achieved the body that you want, has achieved the life that you want. You need to upgrade. Like, if you want to improve the quality of your life, you must improve the quality of your actions. That means you have to accept your flaws, understand that you have flaws. Every human being has flaws. Everybody on this earth makes mistakes, and that's perfectly okay. That is totally fine. That's good. Mistakes are lessons. And so you get to sit there and go, okay, I need to become someone different. It's not about how do I lose 30 pounds? That's the wrong question to ask. The right question to ask is, who do I have to become who deserves to lose that 30 pounds? Think on that for a little bit. It is also important to keep in mind that because we are in this 21-day challenge, everything's going to accelerate. This is an accelerated experience. Everything is going to be like at like 100 miles an hour, right? Success, the results, they're going to be accelerated, but so is our own bullshit, our own internal BS. Because your highest self thrives on those wins. Your highest self thrives on those micro wins that you're collecting along the way. I'm going to deep dive into why small wins are so important on Friday. But the key to rewiring who you are and developing these new habits and character traits is repetition and intensity. And once you've written it all out, soak it in. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that right now. So remember, your highest self thrives on success. Your lower self thrives on excuses. Every time you talk yourself out of doing the thing you know you need to do, that is your lower self winning. You need to be intentional. You need to set reminders to yourself in some way to remind you that no, that's the decision I've always made. I need to choose a different action. I need to do something different if I want to get a better result. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that right now. So step one, identify the top 10 character traits that you need to embody in order to achieve your goals in this challenge. The top 10 character traits. For example, in order to get all my workouts in, I need to be a little bit more disciplined. So disciplined or commitment, take no bullshit, take no prisoners kind of attitude would be new character traits that I would reinforce during this challenge. For myself, this character trait is the version of myself that I want to be just wouldn't let the inner bitch voice talk me out of doing it. Right? That's just one character trait. They just wouldn't listen to that negative self-talk. Just because you're thinking negatively about yourself doesn't always mean it's true. I get to decide which of those are actually true, and I get to decide where I put my focus and attention. So those would be the character traits that I would try to embody, right? Somebody who, when I say I prioritize my family, my career, and my health, I embody that. How do I know? Because I say no to the things that take energy away from those three things. So if something doesn't directly feed me closer connection to my family or improve my overall career and where this is taking me, but also taking away from my health, if anything takes energy away from those three things, I say no. And that's the evidence that those are the actions that I need to take to prove that my health is a priority. Step two, once you're done with these character traits, write these traits down and go look at them every single day. The key to rewiring who you are fundamentally and developing these new habits and character traits is repetition and intensity. Once you've written it all out, soak it in. And you'll be using these as a framework to make decisions, to rewire your entire identity. Because once you know exactly who it is you want to become, you then go, okay, well, how does that version of me live their life? How does that person react in this situation? Because the old me used to panic every time the scale went up and I would go to the fridge and binge. But the new me, that version of me, doesn't do that. So what can I do instead? What other options do I have? Because the brain's always going to gravitate towards what you've always done. So if you've always panicked and hit the screw it button every time the scale goes up, well, then you're going to continue doing that until you give your brain new options. If you've never done something different, well, then your brain's always going to gravitate towards the one thing it knows, because your brain is a supercomputer that backlogs all of the previous life experiences. And what it does is anytime you're in a situation, your brain goes, hey, we've been in this situation before. What did we do last time? Oh, right. We panicked and hit the freak out button and the screw up button. We let it all unwind. And then we told ourselves, well, just, oh, you know what? I'm just going to throw oh, I screwed up. I might as well keep screwing up and get it all out of the way now and just enjoy myself while I can. And then just restart on Monday. That's what we've always done. And so the brain's going to go, okay, cool. We stepped on the scale, the number went up. And so I'm going to hit the panic button, do that. It is up to us to stop ourselves and go, okay, that is what I've always done. The only way to guarantee that I don't succeed is to quit. The only way to guarantee that I gain weight back is to quit or to go binge or to go and do the thing I've always done. That always leads me to quitting. That always leads me to going in an unfavorable situation. So what can I do instead? That's how we use this framework to identify new options. What would that version of me do in this situation? The version of me who's 30 pounds down, the version of me who's stronger, more toned, more athletic, the version of me who has more energy, who's sleeping good, who has a good relationship with food, diet, and exercise, the version of me who is a good example for my children. What would that version of me do in this situation right now? Next, when we're talking about identity, identity is the number one thing that needs to change. And this is difficult. And I'm going to be diving super deep in on Wednesday on identity change. But I'm going to kind of go over it a little bit here because identity change is so important. It needs to be talked about over and over and over again. Who you believe you are matters. And that will be the number one determining factor of your success. If you identify as a dieter, as a binge eater, or this is just who I am, or you're an emotional eater, or I'm just not cut out for this, or I'm just not built that way. The more you believe you are this person, the more your brain will cling to that and always try to deposit thoughts and emotions that will end up leading to actions that will reinforce your identity, who you believe you are. Right. And so what we need to do is we really need to start shifting who we believe we are. And it's one thing to do affirmations in the mirror, like look at the mirror and stare at yourself and be like, you're a badass, you're awesome, you're fit, you're healthy, you're gonna kick ass. Like that's one thing. If that works for you, amazing. But it's very flimsy, because if you then act out of alignment with that affirmation you just said, you actually widen that gap between who you believe you are and who you actually are, who you say that you are versus who you actually are. And so what we need to do is the way I like to do is I treat identity like a thermostat, right? Like when you have a thermostat set to like 25 degrees, right? Say it's in the winter, you want to warm it up, but then the room starts to cool down, or you start to do a lot more action, you start to warm up, you get like you believe you're a 6 out of 10, but you're becoming this 10 out of 10 person. If you believe you're a 6 out of 10, the thermostat kicks on and will cool you back down to where you believe you are. What that looks like is, hey, I'm a binge eater, and you know what, it's been 3 weeks since I went on a binge, high five me. And then your subconscious goes, yeah, but you're a binger. So self-sabotage, you're a binge, and you go binge again, right? You step on the scale, it bumps up a pound and you go self-sabotage, right? You're like, oh no, I'm a failure, so I'm going to go act like a failure. So who you believe you are matters. And the subconscious will always pull you back to who you believe you are. And changing identity is based on evidence. Like I said, the brain's always going to gravitate towards what it's always done. And so if you've always binged, of course you believe you're a binge eater. So number one is stop using that vocabulary. No more calling yourself a binge eater. And now we're going to start stacking evidence as to the proof that you're not a binge eater. Every single time that you don't binge, make it the biggest deal that you possibly can, because the brain will always fixate and focus on the things that you tell it to focus on. So if you keep saying carbs are bad, carbs are bad, carbs are bad, what you're actually saying is you're telling your brain to focus on carbs. Carbs are important. it's important to think about not eating carbs. And so now carbs are always on your mind, and so now you go and eat. You give in and you binge on carbohydrates. So this is where the idea of win stacking comes into play, and that is uh Friday's big Friday's big training is all about win stacking. But the thing is, you're always gonna find what you're looking for. If you're looking for carbs to avoid, you're gonna find carbs. If you're looking for protein options to fill that void, you're gonna find protein options. If you're looking for reasons to call yourself a failure, you're always gonna find it. If you believe you're a failure, you bet you're telling your mind, yes, it is important to be a failure. Let's go prove that we're a failure because I believe I'm a failure. And anything that is against what I believe is a direct threat to my identity. So I'm going to go and reinforce, find all of the evidence in the world to tell me that I am actually a failure. But if you go, I am a winner, and here's why. Because you know what? I hit my 7,000 steps today. I hit my protein target today. I didn't binge today. That is huge. That is a win. They all matter. My clothes are fitting better. I have a little bit more energy. I had a great sleep last night. Like something must be going right. And like all of these things that we consider not big wins are actually huge and actually so important and plays such a big role in our identity. But we don't believe they're big enough changes, so we ignore them. But then the moment we have even the smallest mistake, we beat ourselves up over it. We make the failure the big deal, and we're ignoring the wins. We need to do the opposite. We need to intentionally find the big wins and train our mind to find more big wins because we don't need more help finding negative shit. We're going to find negativity everywhere in life. We're always our own worst critic. We're always going to look in the mirror and rip ourselves apart. But if you can look in the mirror and find something that you love, cling to that, find that, and make that the biggest deal in the world. Give yourself a high five, write it down. Just like tell your husband or your children, hey, you know what? I look great today. Like, I really love my cheekbones. I really love my wide hips because it gives me a big ass. I really like this. I really like that. And finding things that you love about yourself and making those the point of focus rather than the negativity, because you'll always find the negativity. You don't need help with that. But if we start training the brain to find all of the wins that we possibly can, you're going to have a much easier time with this because you're going to find reasons to believe in yourself. You're going to find reasons that you are a winner, that you do deserve this. You're going to find all of the positive things about you, how you're living. You're going to wake up one day and be like, man, I feel really good. I didn't binge last night. I had a really good quality dinner, but then I also got a good chance to take the dog for a walk, sat down, and I watched a really good movie with my family, and that was amazing. Those are all wins, and those are all lifestyle wins, but but if we keep fixating on the negative, we're going to keep finding the negative. So, one thing we can do when it comes to talking about trying to create better habits, because that's what it is, right? Like I said, this is all about actions. What actions are you taking? What habits are you trying to instill? What habits are you trying to reinforce in your lifestyle? One of the things that we need to think about is the idea of friction. So, friction being time, distance, and effort. The idea with this is find how can you increase friction between you and the habit you no longer want in your life. And in the meantime, how can you decrease the friction between you and the habit you want to build? For example, a classic one, if you want to stop snacking on garbage at night, keep the garbage out of your house. Like, don't bring the chips into your house. Don't bring the ice cream into your house. Make it something where you have to go and get it. And that way you're a lot less likely to follow through with it because you're giving yourself more time to figure it out. And especially when it comes to like stress eating and emotional eating, when we feel overwhelmed and stressed, what we want to do is we have these stress and emotional responses, and those make us want to go and grab something. But those emotions and feelings, that physical control that sometimes emotions have over us, only last about 90 seconds. So if you can give yourself time between you and the thing that you need to do, there you go. And with that, you've increased the distance and the effort, because now instead of just walking to the pantry and grabbing it mindlessly, you have to intentionally go, Oh, I'm really craving chips right now. Oh, we don't have any chips in the house. Okay, well, let me go get dressed. Let me get my socks on, shoes on. Let me get my coat on. Let me get my keys. Let me find my wallet, and then I have to turn on the car, wait for the car to warm up, go drive to the location, then get it, then drive all the way back and start enjoying it there finally. But in that time, by most of the time, what you'll do is you'll be like, yeah, but do I really want to drive all that way? Do I really want to put that much effort in just to grab a bag of chips, which I know I don't actually want? It's just there. It's convenient. It's yummy. And so I just kind of want it. I'm not actually hungry, but I just want the food. I'm not going to put in that effort in it. It can just stay there. There you go. And like that, so that's an idea of increasing friction. A way to decrease friction, again, is hey, rather than having to drive all the way to the gym, just get your yoga mat out and roll it out and keep it out. Keep like the yoga mat out in your living room so that you can just grab it and roll it and get started rather than having to unbury it or deciding to go to the gym instead, right? So like that's another way to minimize the friction. Make swap out your like bowl of like M&Ms and swap it with the bowl of fruit and hide the M&Ms. Make it something you have to intentionally go and dig out again if you want to even keep it in the house to begin with. But like make what can you do to make the thing you want to engage in as easily accessible as possible while making the thing you don't want to engage in as hard to engage in as possible. And that is a huge way of making it easier to adopt a healthy lifestyle, is by increasing friction between you and the habit you want to break while decreasing the friction between you and the habit you want to start. The next thing you can do to start building habits is something called habit stacking. Because here's the thing, you already have consistency built into your life. A lot of people are just like, oh, I just can't be consistent with it. Bullshit. Yes, you can. And here's how I know, because whenever I ask somebody, hey, what's a typical meal for you? Like, what's a typical day of eating for you? And they go, oh, well, if I manage to make breakfast, because I have kids, I got to rush out the door sometimes, and I don't always get an opportunity to make breakfast. But when I do, it's like a yogurt bowl, or maybe I'll swing by Starbucks and get a bacon Gouda and a latte. And then when I'm at work, maybe I'll have like a small salad. With like super lean chicken, maybe, or I'll just grab some like trail mix and I'll snack on that, and I'll snack on this, and I'll snack on that. And then when I get home, I'm just too tired to I'm too tired to really cook. So I'll either order out or I'll swing by and grab something on the way back. Or maybe my husband cooked a meal, right? And then I'm so hungry that at night, and the sugar cravings kick in and I just go nuts. I go ham and I can't stop. So like, and I'll be like, okay, so that's a typical a day of eating for you. And they go, yes. I'm like, great. So there's your consistency. You're already consistent. You have the skill of consistency already built into your day. We're just changing what those meals look like. That's it. The consistency is already there. We're just changing what those meals look like so that we can actually get the results you want. You also brush your teeth every single day. Probably twice a day. You're very consistent with that. You probably put your kids to bed. You take them to school, take them to sport practice. You commute to work, right? So you already have consistency built into your day. Like, consistency isn't a skill that you lack. We're just changing what the food looks like. But other than that, the habits are exactly the same. And so now what habit stacking is we take habits that you already have, and we now stack another good habit to those routines you already have established. Because what ends up happening is, like, say, hey, every time I eat dinner, that's where I'm going to get 10 minutes of walking in. You eat dinner, you push away, and you take a 10-minute walk. That's how you start building that habit. This is a routine. This is what I do every single day after dinner, is I just take a quick little walk, take my dog, take the family, right? Or every day I get off work, I swing by the gyms on the way anyway. So I'm just going to turn in and just get my workout in after work. By taking a habit and routine you already have established and then anchoring a new habit on top of that, what's going to end up happening is you don't get suddenly bad at brushing your teeth. You get really good at the habit that you attach to it, because you're already so masterfully consistent with the brushing your teeth that it's just a no-brainer. When you attach another habit to that, you're going to do that too. You're going to get really good at that thing too. So that's the power of habit stacking. Is you already are consistent. You already have consistency built into your life. You already have routines, even if you don't realize it. So now we're just adding one more thing to that routine. Set timers, set reminders, schedule it, make sure you set an alarm to remind you to start doing that. And eventually you won't need the alarm. And eventually you won't even need to think about it. It'll just be something you do. Next is the 5-minute rule. So the 5-minute rule is essentially picking a habit or anything, any activity that just takes 5 minutes or less that will allow you to do the thing. Because starting a new activity is always the hardest part. The heaviest weight in the entire gym is the front door. It's getting in the door that's the hardest part. It's starting the activity. Just beginning takes 80% of your energy, right? So let's master the art of starting. And we do this with the 5-minute rule. If you want to identify, like I was saying, the highest version of myself is a healthy person. Well, the healthy person works out. Right now, I'm not really working out. Like it's really hard to fit my schedule. Cool. Set 5 minutes a day where you stretch. 5 minutes a day where you do air squats, like body weight squats, elevated push-ups, grab a band, do some curls and shoulder presses, just for 5 minutes. Are you going to get substantial results? No. But what you are doing is you're mastering the art of starting the activity, which is always the hardest part. You can't get good at a habit that you're not doing. So let's fix the not doing part and then worry about doing it well later. But right now, take 5 minutes. 5 minutes of stretching, 5-minute walk, 5-minute this, 5-minute that. Whatever habit it is that you want to establish, put 5 minutes on the clock and just start for 5 minutes. And I guarantee you're going to start mastering the art of showing up, of doing the hard part, which is beginning. And then you can actually worry about getting really good at it later down the road once you've already mastered that part. But if you can't even show up, it doesn't matter how optimal your workout is. Because if you're not doing it, it doesn't matter. So let's focus on getting started first and then worry about getting really good at it as time goes on. And as a example of why this is so powerful is I had a client named Vivian. She started with me at 342 pounds. She lost over 100 pounds. She's almost at 150 pounds down. 150 pounds down. And all we did, the big thing we started doing with her to get her to start working out is she would swing by the gym on her way home from work, which is about 3:00 in the afternoon. She would pull into the parking lot and just sit there for 5 minutes. She wouldn't even get out of her car. And then she would go home. And then she would come back, do it again the next day, and then the next day. And then one day she made the decision, hey, you know what? I'm just going to walk in and buy a membership. Because what happening is when she was in her car, she was getting used to the faces that were coming in and out of the gym. She began to recognize and connect with these people from her car. And then just one day she walked in the door. She opened that front door. The hardest, heaviest weight in the entire gym is that front door. And she opened it and she walked right in, bought a membership, then went home. And the next day she came in, got changed, and then she just walked on a treadmill for 5 minutes and then went home. 5 minutes. And over time, she got more and more used to it. She got more and more familiar with the environment. The gym anxiety started to go down because I was just showing her videos on, like sending her videos on how to use certain machines, and whether or not she used them were her choice, but she just watched them. So she kind of had a basic idea of how the machines went, saw what machines were in the gym. She saw the faces, saw the trainers, met the staff. And over time, she started making it into a full hour-long routine. But that wouldn't have happened if she believed that she had to do that from the get-go, because then she never would have opened that front door. That's the power of the 5-minute rule. One day you can turn that 5 minutes into 10 minutes. One day you can turn that 10 minutes into 25, and then 30, 45 minutes, and an hour. But if you never, ever open that door and get started, then you'll never get the habit established. It'll never fit into your routine. That is the power of the 5-minute rule. And that's why it's one of my favorites. Next, Your highest self needs to learn how to reflect, adjust, and then continue. Test, retest. What I really like to do is at the end of the day, take 5 to 10 minutes and just reflect on your day. What did not go well today? And then what can you learn from that experience? Because a behavior, like a mistake made once, is inevitable. Everyone's going to make a mistake. That is normal. And that is perfectly okay. However, if you make the same mistake twice, that means you didn't learn what needed to be learned from that experience. And that is on you. That is a choice. That is a decision that you made. You decided to not learn from that experience. So stop, ask yourself, what did not go well today and why? What can I do about it moving forward? How can I avoid that situation again if it's come up again? How can I come out the other side better than I did this time? Because it's about progress, not perfection. That's the entire theme of this challenge. So when you look back and be like, okay, well, clearly something went wrong. Something happened that made me go to the fridge, go to the freezer, or like binge, the scale went, whatever it is. Like, what did not go well today, and what can I learn from that experience? That is crucial. But what is equally crucial is, again, focusing on the wins. What went well today, and what can I learn about that experience? What went well, and can I do that again tomorrow? How did this week go? What went well this week? And is that repeatable? Can I do that again this coming week? And what can I put in place? What actions can I partake in? Can I create? What wins can I create for myself to make sure that it happens? And this is how we do 1% better each and every day. Because again, progress over perfection. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing a little bit better. What can I do tomorrow to be just 1% better than I was today? And then say to yourself, in theory, this is a better plan than the one I went in with. And then retest. And here's the thing, your plans are going to backfire. They're going to fall apart. Learn from them. Like, that's okay. Your plans will fall apart. Life will punch you in the face, and that's okay. That's totally normal. It's about progress over perfection. And even if the plan didn't go the way that you had hoped, was it at the very least slightly better than the way you used to do it? Because you're often going to get frustrated. You'll constantly feel like you're not doing enough. You'll constantly feel like the plan isn't working, or that you're not good enough and that what you're doing isn't working. You're going to feel like the weight is not falling off of you fast enough, and you're going to question if it's even worth continuing. Because the mind does not like change, and it will fight you every single step of the way to get back to the way you were by tricking you into believing it's not working. That is your lowest self. That is the lower voice. That is my inner bitch voice. You might even call yourself a failure. But in reality, the only way to fail is to quit, to stop trying altogether. And as long as you don't do that, you, by every definition of the word, are not a failure. You will struggle. You will stumble. Things will not go according to plan. And that's all okay. You've made it through every single storm that life has thrown your way in the past, and you're still here. You didn't quit. And if you think to some of your hardest moments of your life, this 21 days or this entire idea of changing your life, like, it pales in comparison to the things that you've dealt with already in life. You're a lot stronger than you think. You cannot screw this up so long as you do not quit. On Wednesday, I'm going to talk about identity change, changing your inner voice, changing the voice from your lowest self to that highest self, changing your inner story, who you believe you are. That's what I'm deep diving in on Wednesday. And on Friday, I'll be deep diving into how to create as many small wins for yourself to convince yourself, to give your brain that evidence that you are a badass, that you can do this, that you absolutely are deserving of this life, that you absolutely can accomplish this. I'm going to be explaining deep into why that's so important, and also how to cultivate that sort of winning mindset, to cultivate that that outlook where you can see all the wins and why they matter and not ignore them like we tend to do. So that's all for me today. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Take care.